And that whole process, I realized that without capital, nothing works. And since we don't have capital, it's better to create your own knowledge capital. So you study. There's only way to change your life is to study, to get professional qualification and move. Taking loan is a very, it's a sophisticated word of speculation.
Yeah.
Because you speculate that, okay, if I have, let's say 1 crore, and if I take a loan of 4, I'll have a capital of 5, now invest and I'll make money to repay my loan, repay my interest, and also save money for me. And that's a very sophisticated form of speculation. That shook me, that I felt like, what is this? Like, what if I would have died? And what am I doing? Like, it's 5 years now, I've been working hard, and I don't know what would happen in my life if 1 second I fall. My rough calculation was that if I have 500,000 viewers who are ready to watch Drishyam Films, so if I have those consistently, that at least I'll have a 5 crore box office, and that's good enough. जब हम छोटे थे तो अरे कालू, अरे छोटू, अरे मोटू, those get inside your head and they push you towards that inferiority complex where you feel, am I good enough?
Even today, you can't work with Rajkumar Rao because at that time, he would have taken 20 lakhs. Today, he's taking 2-3 crores.
Yeah, more than that. So we are good friends. He will love my story, but he will say, look, I have 10 different projects I'm doing. If somebody is earning 10 times more than me, wish him all the luck. If somebody is looking better than me, all the best to him. If somebody is more confident than me, all the best to him. I am good enough and that I'm happy. And I always thank God in full gratitude. Whatever journey I've taken is mesmerizing. One interesting thing was when we connected on Twitter and he said, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. And then during our talk, when he realized I'm from Nigeria, I'm working in Nigeria, he said, oh God.
It was one of the Nigeria scams.
So he said, I can't believe this can happen from Nigeria. Is it not that scam mail and all?
Welcome to 100x Entrepreneur Podcast. This is your host Siddharth Ahluwalia. I have a very interesting guest with me today, Manish Mundra, a dear friend. And Manish is a diverse person. I would place Manish in the category of Leonardo da Vinci. Because multifaceted personality, doing commercial work at one side, doing creative work at other side, completely opposite ends. And the other part of his life, which nobody knows about, it's all about giving. So welcome, Manish.
Thank you so much.
Glad to host you. Just before we dive into our conversation, to some facts to share about you. You were born and brought up in a village, right? You saw early richness in your life, which your father had built, and then suddenly his business collapsed. So I saw a similar thing in my life. My father was always into business of automobiles. He had an automobile sales shop. Back in 90s, automobile, Bajaj was really popular. So he was selling two-wheeler Bajaj Chetak scooters. It was really popular, and then some government scheme changed. And then he couldn't do it. So I think in 3rd class, we lost our business. And from 4th class, I could see that the Kaju Kishmish in my house were replaced by Mufli.
It's the same story, yeah.
And, earlier we used to have at least one meal ordered from outside. Now it was only one sabji a month ordered from outside. And it was very hard for, the family of 4 to share. So my mother used to keep only one piece of paneer with her. Paneer was a favorite in my family. And then when I was in class 5, I thought let me do something. So I started selling cricket cards and WWF cards. In 6 months span, I could sell 1,000 cards on 50 paisa profit on each and make 500 rupees total. So I thought this is not worth my time. Let me dedicate it to studying. Maybe education could lead to a better outcome for my family. Then some fortune turned again in 11th class when my father got a license for a beer shop. And he entered into liquor business. That business was also short-lived for 5 years. And just 6 months before graduating, the business stopped because the policy in the Uttar Pradesh government took away all the licenses and gave it to a single contractor. And then, I had to support my family to the last 6 months of stipend of my master's. And then it was all about, how can I pursue entrepreneurship, not compromise on my dream and still support my family. So I can really relate with your journey, how I think around same time, 4th or 5th class, your father business collapsed because of a loss, right, in tobacco. And then till 12th class, You had to see
Yeah.
poverty at your house.
Yeah.
And then you decided that you don't want to see this again.
No, that's what drives us.
In your life. I think, and you kept always like one principle you made in your life is you always wanted to work hard.
Yeah.
So after 12th class, you shifted to, I think, Jodhpur, right?
Yes,
Jodhpur. And you did your bachelor's and master's from Jodhpur. And went to Aditya Birla Group after Jodhpur, doing your master's in 1997.
Yeah.
In 2002, you were with Aditya Birla Group.
Yes.
You got 5 promotions during that time.
Yes. You've read a lot. Yeah, thank you for that all research.
5 promotions during a very short period in time.
Yeah.
Very hard in a corporate where people get lost. I want to know the secret to it in our conversation.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Then in 2002, you realized that you had no savings working in an Indian large company.
Yes.
One of the largest enterprises possible in India.
Yes.
So that's why you decided that you want to shift outside India.
Sure. Yeah.
I think US would have been a first preference for you, but
no, Indonesia. Why? Because again, it's all in. When you look back and you join the T's, you always realize why it was. There's a master plan always, and of course, I knew US was a destination. I always dreamt of studying in US. I wanted to do my MBA from Stanford. That was my dream. But then I knew myself that the qualifications, what I have, and the experience I have, won't take me there. And the point was that let's get out wherever I can. And that was the reason I said, let me step out. And once I step out, I'll probably find my way. And probably now when I look back, I thought it was a great decision, which God made me to do.
And how did you choose Indonesia at that point in time?
No, it was not me. In fact, one of my bosses, Mr. Ashok Maj, he was working in Indorama Group in Indonesia. And when I decided to move out of the country, I messaged him, I sent him a mail and I said, look, this is my CV and I want to somehow work outside and see if you have any chance in your organization. And he knew me exactly how I was. So he recommended to the bosses, the owners, Mr. Espiloya. And Espiloya wanted somebody at that point of time who can work in strategy and business growth. And as fate would have it, he was in India when he got that mail. And he said that I'm in Bombay and if he can meet me. And that's how we met. And that's how the whole thing started. So it's like I did not choose Indonesia. In fact, my fate, my energy chose that and it all happened. I never felt Indonesia was a great city because we were looking east at that point of time and I thought always Singapore or Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur would be great. But when I landed in Jakarta, it was different. It was very well and it was good city and I felt happy about that decision that I made.
And I think within 3 years, you became the CEO of a division.
Yeah, so we went there, my job was business strategy and growth. And what I felt was that we started working on petrochemicals. I felt being a company in textiles, in polyester, we need to move backwards and integrate backwards. And that's where I started attending seminars and conferences in petrochemicals and olefins and other things, and which I felt that this is going to be the new molecules which will bring value to the organization. And then when I looked through the globe, I felt Africa is a place where it has been exploited not very well in terms of raw materials, in terms of hydrocarbons and reserves, whatever we have. And all that process, Nigeria was specifically a country which is rich in hydrocarbons in terms of gas reserves, in terms of oil reserves, and there were not great facilities out there. Most of the international oil companies were just taking out crude and exporting it out, taking it to their own facilities outside Nigeria. So that's where I felt that this is a place where if we find something to set it up, we'll get cheap raw material in terms of gases and exploit it and create a value. And that's how I landed up in Nigeria. I worked hard there for 1 year and then we could get a breakthrough where we could acquire a petrochemical company which was closed, which was owned by the state. And then through the privatization process, we acquired it and then worked on that petrochemical plant. And from there we started, I'm talking 2005-06. And then we started growing. We grew in fertilizers. We grew in another country called Senegal, which is also in West Africa. We did mines there, rock phosphate mines, and then phosphoric acid. And now we are doing methanol, and we are doing, which is a huge project, and we're doing the third expansion of fertilizer. So we have invested more than $7-8 billion across last 15 years, and we've grown. So yes, that journey from Indonesia to Africa within 2 to 3 years was very interesting. And it was very rewarding in terms of accomplishment, being 29 years old, 30 years old. By 32, you become a CEO. It's very exciting and was very challenging in a different terrain, but I think it gave me wings to dream more.
Hi everyone, before we begin, I would like to share that this podcast is brought to you by Prime Venture Partners, an early stage VC fund led by Amir Somani, Shripati Acharya and Sanjay Swami. Prime is often the first institutional investor in category defining tech startups in fintech, SaaS, healthcare and education such as MyGate, Quizzes, Planet Spark, Bolt and Clip. To know more about Prime, visit primevp.in.
But Siddharth, I'll take back to you on our initial life, when you were narrating your experience, and it was like I was mirror imaging you myself. I always thank God, at that point of time, we were very, very young, very small kids, and in middle class families where we come from, it's very difficult to announce that we are poor. You have to make it up. You can't just hold a bankruptcy board saying that we are bankrupt. So you have to maintain the standards. You have to act as if everything is okay, and you have to go to the functions. You have to behave as if everything is normal. But then internally you have a lot of problems, and you face through whatever we talked. It's same food or basics. Ghar ka makan bech ke, then you get into the rented house, and then you have to find reasons for doing that and all. So during that period, that phase, you always ask God, why me? Why this is happening to us? And then when you grow up and look back, I always thank God now. What He did, or what the energy did, was at the right time. When you walk with a patch at your back that, look, I had a hardship, and if that patch was fixed on the right time, it makes a lot of difference. If the same hard times or tough times do come at the age of 30, 32, it's very difficult to take over from there and survive and grow. But if you have gone through those hard times at the right age, when you are like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, basic building years of your life, you feel the fear, that whole idea of shame, that idea of how to pretend that everything is normal, the idea of struggling to pay the fees, the idea of having no money in the family, and all those things drive you to work hard, to really work hard. Like you gave an example, selling cards. I also did the same thing, instead of cards, I was selling handkerchiefs, I was selling sarees, I was doing a lot of other things. And that whole process, I realized that without capital, nothing works. And since we don't have capital, it's better to create your own knowledge capital. So you study. There's only way to change your life is to study, to get professional qualification and move. So the point I want to drive is, when these things, these hardships happen the right time in life, it becomes blessings as you grow up, because you're rooted, you know the reality from where you are coming. You are sure about your actions because you don't speculate in life ever, because you know that you don't want to go back. And also when you are growing, you create rings of safety net of investments. You make sure that you invest properly. You make sure that whatever you're earning, you are investing in a way that if any such things happen again, you have nets to cross. You have your own safety indices up. Okay, if things go wrong, then you know where to put the pedestal on. So it's very important to have that whole idea of struggle, the idea of so-called bad times at right time. And that's what I also talk to my kids, and saying that I feel you should also go through that tough time at right time, because if you go through that in right time, it makes you so strong and so humble and so rooted that you can never go wrong in life again. What I learned from my father was never speculate in life. And what I also learned from him, that always invest in savings, whether it is real estate, whether it's FDs. Don't touch it. Don't look back to them. And that helped me a lot in my life to accomplish a lot of other dreams which I had. And it helped me to go through that whole process. And whenever I get an opportunity to talk to people, I always tell that get professional degree, work hard more than what a normal person can do, earn more than what a normal salary person at your age, at your experience can do, and save that additional money and invest somewhere to grow it more. If you don't do that, you'll not be above normal. You will be living a good life, but if you do more than what others do, you can create life which people will not be able to think about it, that how a salaried person can do this. And it makes you so courageous in life, because one thing we also learned during that process is when you've seen bad days, when you've seen tough days, you get this whole value system of courage in your mind that isse kharab kya hoga, nothing bad can happen, nothing bad can go from this. So you have that sense of courage. And when you get a job, when you earn, let's say 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 rupees as your starting salary, you work hard to create another additional income of 30, 40,000, which is equivalent to your salary. You have so much courage in you that you don't care about the job, what you care about the result. And that helps you to take so important decisions, so good a decision as an entrepreneur, that you grow in your job and you also grow in terms of income. And that helped me a lot, having that courage to take decisions and look at that job as an entrepreneur and not as somebody who's 9 to 5 job or something. Because I was not very cared about losing my job, because I knew I have supporting income to support me. And that made me very courageous in terms of taking decisions. Of course, calculated risk, but then you see a lot of people who are very capable, very intelligent, but what stops them is they don't have the courage to take that step. And that helps us to take that step, because we have come from that background where we have seen it all. We have gone through it at right age. And those fears, those shames, those ideas stick around us. They become part of our DNA and we don't change intrinsically. So we would never do something which will be beyond some level. But that also adds that courage to take those calculated risks and do something more than the normal people.
So one example I can share from my father suffered business losses at second point or third point at the time, mainly because of the loans that he had taken.
Exactly.
So till now in my life, right, I have never taken a loan.
Don't take loan. We don't take loan.
I've never taken a loan. Whatever happened, right? We just bought our first house. It's a small 2 BHK. This place is rented.
Yeah.
But it was insistence of my wife, that Nancy, that we need to create a safety net. So we just took that house. We haven't bought a car yet. And we have invested in across 2 funds and personal investments across 40 startups.
Yeah.
So I don't think that normal people would do. They would first buy a house, then buy a car, and then think about any other form.
Yeah. No, it's true. There's no point in buying something on loan. And you're doing exactly what a person should do. When you're starting from zero, when you don't have the luxury to play around with your money, then you are very cautious in terms of investments and usage of the money. When you earn money, even you earn 100 rupees, you have an option in terms of your purchase power or in terms of your spend power, whatever you can call it, to use that 100 rupees. Okay. Either to satisfy your requirements immediately and get that off your bank account, or you wisely invest in a point where you forgo some of the things which you could do at the 100 rupees and rather invest in your future to build a capital which help you to do a lot of things. It's like slow and steady. You create that capital and then money grows in itself. Money actually earns more money. Money works for you. So if you invest and it grows and you invest more, you grow. There will be a point in time where you'll have enough to announce to the world that, you have arrived. Otherwise, there's so many people out there, you don't have to prove anything. No matter how much you achieve or do, there will be someone better. There will be someone who will be bigger than you and someone who will have a better house, some better car, better clothes to wear. So there's no point in just proving that thing. So that whole idea which I was talking about, the pretense, pretending that we are not poor or pretending that I'm rich, never happens to us. It just doesn't happen.
It's gone.
It's not there because we come from the point where we have seen it all.
Everything was taken away from us and we survived that.
So it doesn't happen. And that's where the whole speculation idea that taking loan is a very, it's a sophisticated word of speculation.
Yeah.
Because you speculate that, okay, if I have, let's say 1 crore and if I take a loan of 4, I'll have a capital of 5, now invest and I'll make money to repay my loan, repay my interest and also save money for me. And that's a very sophisticated form of speculation. And don't do that. I think it's not a good idea to do it. 1 in 100,000 may be lucky, jiske hum kahani pad lete hain. But there are also 999,000 people who would have lost about it. It's another form of speculation, I would say. If you have a capital of 1 crore and if you feel You need to invest. Invest on the basis of that 1 crore and see if you can make something. Don't invest on the basis of leveraging it 3 times and then you create something bigger than what you can chew if things go wrong. And that's what comes from where we come from.
Dear listeners, if you have been following our podcast, you would have been hearing about Zoho Payroll. Zoho Payroll's mission is to democratize payroll technology for everyone. Hence, they have made a free version of Zoho Payroll for startups and businesses who have up to 10 employees. It has all the features to automate payroll compliance, salary calculations, payments, and much more to pay salaries on time. You can use it for free forever, no questions asked. Even as a startup, give your employees a great payroll experience right from the start. Check out the link in the description to know more about Zoho Payroll. Thank you.
So Manish, moving fast forward in your life, right? Till 2002, you were in Aditya Birla.
Yeah.
You were earning 50-60,000 rupees a month, but all was getting spent.
37,000 plus accommodation. Yeah.
All was getting spent. Yeah. But then you moved to Indonesia in Indorama. Yeah. And there you were instantly, as you moved, you were saving 50-60,000 rupees a month.
I was saving 50.
That was a huge change in your life.
Yes.
At that point in time.
That was the reason why I moved actually. It's a very interesting story, I'll tell you. As you mentioned, in Aditya Birla Group, I went as a management trainee and really worked hard in the sense that I knew that I don't belong to this place, but I need to work hard to reach to that place where I wanted to be. And the only way how you could do it is to work hard. So when we worked hard, the executive president of the company noticed me and he observed me because I remember that incidents where PowerPoint का एक version था Lotus में. I forgot the name. So that had been launched and he wanted to make a presentation to the board in Bombay in that. And nobody knew about it. And so they asked me, do you know? And I said, yes. I never knew about it. So they said, okay, boss has called you in the morning. So the whole night I spent to learn that thing, experiment and draw those graphs and presentations and all those things. So by the time in the morning when he called and he created those sheets on white paper, I went back and I created it. And that's how I was attached with him. He observed me and then he said, okay, come with me, be my executive assistant. And from there, when we went for presentation and we went a couple of times more in a year, his boss noticed me and he said, Devu Bhattacharya was his boss. He was the vice chairman of the Aditya Birla Group. He noticed me and he said, come, I need you to work with me. And that's how I traveled. So that's how we got promoted. We got different jobs and all those things. But in Bombay, after working 5 years, when I was in Aditya Birla Group and was getting a salary of 38,000 rupees and an accommodation, still taking that local train and going, and you have to hang around and go. You won't get seats to sit in. I don't know if you're conversant with how Bombay works.
I've done a lot.
So when you do the local trains, one afternoon, it was Sunday, I remember, you were so habitual that though the trains had the seats, but you would like to hang around. So I was holding the thing and was traveling from Nariman Point to Andheri. And I somehow fell asleep in the sense that I was so tired, I just fell asleep. And I was about to fall. Somebody caught me. That shook me, that I felt like, what is this? Like, what if I would have died? And what am I doing? Like, it's 5 years now, I've been working hard and I don't know what would happen in my life if 1 second I fall. And that's why I decided ki nahi, I can't save, I'm working hard. I've got good designation now. I was promoted as AGM at that age and it was very interesting. Everybody liked my work. In fact, I was doing presentations to Kumar Mangalam Birla and was participating in the strategy discussions and all. I said, no, this can't happen. And that's why I decided to move. And that point in time also I realized that nobody would give any value to what I do here in India. I'm talking 2002. It's time for me to move out and see if I can earn dollars and make my living. And that's why the decision was that let me move. That train incident was something which I came back home and told my wife that, look, I need to get out. That's how it all happened. You create your own boxes. Acha ye karunga, acha wo karunga. So filmmaking was one important aspect of my dream. I always dreamt of. And so 2011-12, I said, okay, sab kaam ho gaya. I've saved enough and I need to now tick that box. But ab kisi ko jante nahi ho, you're not from that industry. You don't know anybody. But then social media came to my rescue. That's where 2009-10 Twitter started and I was one of the first one to follow it. And I was there on Twitter and very active. And then 2011 September or something, it was Rajat Kapoor tweeted,
Ankhon Dekhi.
tweeted that I'm not going to make films because nobody's there to produce. I would rather go to the theaters and do my. That's why I responded saying, okay, let me produce it. That's how Ankhon Dekhi happened. Well, interesting thing was when we connected on Twitter and he said, are you sure? I said, yeah, I'm sure. And then during our talk, when he realized I'm from Nigeria, I'm working in Nigeria, he said, oh God.
It was one of the Nigeria scams.
So he said, I can't believe this can happen from Nigeria. Is it not that scam mail and all? I said, no. I am an Indian. I worked in India. I have my family in India. I'm working here and I'm very sure about this thing. And let me come down to Bombay, meet you and discuss. So when we were conversing, also, I said, okay, send the script.
Yeah.
I read the script and I liked it. And it was exactly what I wanted to make because my idea was to make one film and move out. And when I read the script, it resonated me like, ye hamari kahani. It's like our family story. So I said, okay, let's do this. I'm coming down to Bombay and I came to Bombay. I was super excited meeting first celebrity, Rajat Kapoor. And I was like, okay, we met, we talked. And we signed on a piece of paper and said, okay, done. Let's do this. He was super excited. I was super excited. I called my parents. Arey, maine film sign kari. It's something which was, I was wanted to do and I was super excited that we did it. So after whatever, 2-3 days, I returned back and I received call from Rajat. Actually, then also he never carried mobile phone till today. He doesn't carry mobile. So he calls from the landline and he called me and he said, look, I have a problem. I said, what the problem? He said, all these things are good. You are good. I liked you, but I can't sleep. I can't commit on people because I don't know whether you'll able to fund it or not. And Nigeria thing is very disturbing. So I said, okay, what will make you sleep sound? What will make you that okay, the film is being made? He said, yeah, please transfer at least. There was a budget. It was I think around 4 crores or something. Let's transfer almost 50% at least to mujhe de do. That will actually assure me that I should go ahead. And lock people, lock technicians and, do my Reiki and all. I said, okay, fine. If that will that will assure you of everything, so I'll do that. So next day I transferred 2 crores straight away in his bank account. Mithya Talkies was his bank. Called me, say, wow, this is it. Like, I'm doing it.
This is finally not a Nigeria scam.
So he finally said, now we are going ahead and we're doing it. So that's how the whole funding thing came in. But when we met, one interesting thing he told me is that, look, Manish, I want to tell you one thing that I only know how to make a film. I don't know how to sell it. I said, I don't know even to make a film. So let's just make it and we'll see how it goes. Because I was very damn sure that, I have to just make one film. I'll tell you, it was like dream come true even now. So when the film was shot, I took all of my family to see and, some family kids acted in it, idhar udhar koi scene mein ye wo. It was like a festival for us, 3, 4, 5 days. And then when the film was released, I invited almost like 30-35 family members to Bombay, booked them to Bombay, hotel mein tharaya. And for that reason, to make it a family, if I actually paid almost 25-30 lakhs for newspapers front page ad. So when they wake up in the morning in the hotel, they get the Times of India, jisme Ankhon Dekhi ka poster ho and it's releasing. And I just enjoyed the whole process, knowing that it's not going to take anywhere. And then we had a premiere show, and then premiere mein the name appeared, produced by Manish Mundra and blah, blah, blah. Everybody hooted and clapped. And that was it. Like I said, okay, it's done. It's okay. Then after 2-3 days, reactions started coming in. People started praising it. And I was reading the critics and people were like mad about the film, critically acclaiming it and all. I said, wow, we made a good film. And but then audience don't watch such movies in theater. So as I said, I was taking it as a fun. I was taking it but in advertisement promotion, I spent another 3 crores. 35-40 lakhs the same day when I did that. So the total expenditure on that whole thing was almost 7 to 8 crores.
How much percentage of your wealth you put in that?
It was good amount. It was good amount. I don't think I had more than 30-40 crores. I don't know that point of time.
Like
I don't
almost
remember.
25% of your wealth
I did
wiped
that.
out.
Yeah. And so my net box office check was 27 lakhs. I was like, did I do a good thing? Like, what did I do? But everybody was appreciating the film. I don't know. The appreciation was huge, but nothing was there in the box office. So I said, I can't go like this. Like, okay, it was dream come true, but I can't suffer a loss and go back. I need to do something. I need to learn what mistakes I did. And let me try. So I set up an office in Mumbai. And I did this, I bought an office. I bought an office. I said, I won't rent it. I bought an office, set up a team, 4-5 people, and said, okay, let me go in a very structured way. One thing I realized was we need to bring the production of the film, the cost of production, to minimum level. Instead of 4 crores, I should make a film in 2 crores. And then we should have a great script so that it also has some commercial aspect. Even though it's going to be a film from heart, soul, but it should have some commercial aspect. And also let me have a couple of people who are on advertisement and marketing front who can start talking about the film and get into those who controlled the exhibition and all. So the idea was to make it a very structured effort to control the cost of production, take production in our own hand, develop the concept and make the film. My back calculation that was that if I could have done this whole film in 2.5 crores, including all, or 3 crores maximum, and I would have done it properly, I would have recovered my money. And that was the formula which fit into me, that let me make movie into 2.5 crores and see how it goes. And I thought that I cannot go out like this. And by that time, I had also enjoyed the process. I felt that this is something which I always wanted to do, tell stories and create a string of films that would live forever. And that's the reason why I set up this whole thing. And I felt that ki ab paisa itna dubaya hai to usko nikal ke bhi to le jana hai. And that's how I started looking for good scripts. The next film what we did was Masaan. And then we did Dhanak. And then stories started rolling in. And as the luck would have it, America we did, and all our films went into the top international festivals. We won and we got critical acclaims. And people now started recognizing our effort. And that's how, and we started making money, made it self-sustaining. And I felt that it was the right decision to stay back, structure it and do it. And then came Newton in 2017, I think, 2017. We were in Berlin. We were selected in Berlin Film Festival. We won an award there. We came back home. People started talking about it. And Rajkumar Rao and Pankaj Tripathi were there in that film. And then day of release, I think it was 22nd September, 23rd September, India announced that as an Oscar entry. So we had a great box office run. I think we did something 20 crores in terms of box. So that day I wrote in social media, I think from 27 lakhs to 22 crores or something in a box office in 4 years was quite a journey. And probably that made us to do more and more such films. And over the period, if you leave out the Corona period, but we did almost 15 films. We have more than 5 national awards. And almost all the international film festivals we have won, and we have been. In fact, incidentally, we did our first Marathi film, and now it is in Berlin. 22nd February, we have a world premiere there. And the first Marathi film we did, Ghat. So it's an interesting journey which I have taken. And then I thought we should create a niche in terms of Indian cinema, make those films which will stay there for a longer time, and probably 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, when somebody asks this question that how can I know India, then somebody can point out that watch these 30 films made by Drishyam. You'll understand what India is and a story about India. So that's the objective which I've taken working on it.
And during this process also, you wanted to express your creative freedom. So you became a director also for 1 year.
Yeah. So when I met directors, when I would meet the storytellers, I go on shoots. One thing I brought into cinema making is I demystified the whole thing. That I told people it's nothing koi jadoo. It's like it's normal work, you know. If you really plan it well, it's easy to make films, easy to make inroads, easy to meet celebrities, easy to sign them and talk to them and all. So I demystified, and actually I motivated a lot of people to start making films. The other thing which I realized was when I met these directors, writers and all, I would say they're normal people. Like sometimes I would talk better than them in terms of a scene and discuss with them. And that's where I realized that I can also tell my story. But then there is always that fear, you know, ki log kya kahenge, you know, you sometimes fear that. So it took me 2-3 years to come out of that fear, that what would people do? So I said, okay, what I'll do is I'll make a film, enjoy the process and watch the film. If it is worth it, then I'll announce to the world that I made a film. And that's how Sia came in picture and got the confidence. I got a great team. Of course, without team, you can't make a film, that I realized. Though we give too much of weightage to the actors when the film comes on screen and too much of weightage to the director when the film is on the screen and otherwise. But the fact is there's a huge team that works, and it all depends upon how you create your team and how you galvanize with them and show that path. So I was lucky enough to select good team, and it was a fun journey. Sia, and I couldn't believe I wrote it. I produced it and I directed it, and probably it's something which I always wanted to make, and I'm so happy that I did it.
But you never wanted to act in it?
I'm not yet prepared. I want to act. That was always the dream. But I don't think I'm still prepared for it. Another 2, 3, 4 years. I want to act. I want to act in a film. I want to write a role for myself and see if that film is interesting. I really want to act.
One thing which I see throughout your journey is slow compounding in all forms, wherever you operate in. So at 2002, if we just stick to a timeline, you had a great job but zero savings. And from there, 2002 to you went to 2012, where you had a corpus of 30-40 crores. Right? Similarly, when you started in 2012, you made one movie. And in the last 10-11 years, you have made 15 movies, slow and steady, kept on a very tight budget. But now things are going places. And I think this is the moment that I believe you'll see more of films from Drishyam every year.
Yes. What happened was that I knew that it will not be enough for me alone to do it, because of my learning again in Ankhon Dekhi, that we need partners who can take the film to the next level. So we created partners, and we will make a film, we'll do it, we'll produce it in a very shoestring budget and make it very soulful film, and then we'll get a partner on board who will then pay for the promotions and advertisements, and then we make the film big. And we created our own brand of audience. My rough calculation was that if I have 500,000 viewers who are ready to watch Drishyam Films, so if I have those consistently, that at least I'll have a 5 crore box office. And that's good enough. So even if net is 50% of that, 2.5 crores, and if I make a film in 2.5 crores from box office is good enough, because then there are digital rights and other rights. So that was a calculation that I should continue persistently to make such films where I have a clientele base who will believe in word Drishyam's brand of cinema and would give me a chance, give our film a chance to watch without being talked about or promoted in a manner. So that was the reason why we believed to do that consistently and find partners who can also help us and partner with us to take the films to that. And as I said, Newton helped me to fund for the next 10, 6, 7 films, and that's how we made rest of the films, and then it's on self-sustaining basis. So.
Got it. And let's say with Sia, how much box office you were able to reach?
To tell you frankly, Sia, when I decided to make the film, you have seen the film, and it was a tough subject. I knew nobody will make that film because audience generally don't like to come and watch a painful film, a reality, because we all suffer from painful realities and we would like to...
You want to escape pain.
Escape from there to go to cinema. So I knew exactly that nobody would like to seriously go and watch such film. But it was something, as you say, calling from your heart that, no, if at all I want to make a film, I would like to choose a subject which is very difficult, very close to my heart, which needs to be told. Because one, I'm not answerable to anybody. And second, I want to go to that level and feel that whole idea of making a tough film, emotional film. So I knew it from the very beginning, but then I also knew that it will have a great digital audience, and the time will come when it will. So in terms of box office, we did not do great. I think hardly 1.5 crores or something. But then again, we've been quite unlucky in terms of film release. Right from Masaan to everywhere except Newton is, we always hit by some commercially successful film, and that the screen space always becomes a problem for short films or small films like us. So that's the biggest challenge of independent cinema, that they don't get a screen space so that people will actually come and see the film, because by the time they hear about it, by the time they decide, the film is gone from the theater. So, but when we made Sia, we were very sure, and that's how it happened that we got a great digital deal, and now it's going to be on OTT, and we could make money out of it.
And, during this whole process of making 15 films, do you realize that you could be a full-time filmmaker in the next few years?
I always felt, but I believed that that's not my journey. One, I wanted to always stick to sensible film. I never took filmmaking as a business idea, because I felt that the day I decide to be a filmmaker 100%, that all my energies go here, I would like to make money out of it. And the moment your mind gets into a business model where you start seeking returns out of the investment, creativity takes a back step. Then you're compromising. You start compromising from point one, because you back calculate that if I'm investing 5 crores or 8 crores, what am I getting in 2 years? And I always wanted to get out of that whole vicious circle and be out, that when I make a film or when I take a decision to make a film, I would make it because the story is compelling. And I feel from my heart that the story needs to be told. And if I can do justice to it, sometimes you get across some stories which you think that needs to be told, but then the budget is too high for you. So then you don't touch it. You say, okay, that's beyond my control. So that idea of not speculating and be very careful in terms of what's the limit where you can do it. So I was earning my salary and making those films. So I was very sure about the films which needs to be told. And a definite budget was always in mind. I don't think I've made a film which is more than 4 crores or 5 crores.
Including marketing spend.
Yes, that's how I worked about it. And that whole thing of creating those stories which are true to itself, the film is like stands the tide of the time, and people will talk about it and about the sincerity of the film and the storytelling. I thought that I need to earn somewhere else. I need to make my money somewhere else so that I can be, clearly above that whole commercial cycle, the risk return formula, and can be very prudent and sincere in storytelling. And that's how I said, no, I will never take that as a full-time profession. I'll do it just as a part of my passion, something which you want to create a legacy and create a set of cinema which will stay there forever, and even if we walk away. And the reality is, let's just give you an example of film Ankhon Dekhi. It was released alongside Ragini MMS.
Yeah.
Okay. But today, if you talk about Ragini MMS, I think that 2, 3, 4 would have come. But if you ask them what was the box office of Ragini MMS way in 2014, nobody will know. Yeah. And so will nobody know how much was the box office of Ankhon Dekhi. But people will remember Ankhon Dekhi always. Like the hundreds of people I've met, they feel that's one of the best films. So that's how these films, whether it's Masaan or whether it's Newton or Dhanak or, Waiting or Amrika or even Ram Prasad Ki Tervi or Kamyab, they stay there, they're there. People talk about it, people watch it, people, keep them as one of their favorite films. So that's what helped me. So that thought process helped me that it's not box office that would matter in long term. The purity of the storytelling, the sincerity of the filmmaking, and the soulful story will stay longer. And that is what matters.
And I think that's where one more thing that comes from your heart is the idea that you want to build is more screens for independent filmmakers.
It's very close.
Tell us more about it.
As we discussed, one of the biggest problem as a filmmaker, what I face is when you make these films, because you have to work on a shoestring budget. And when you work on shoestring budget, you can't work with stars. You can't work with those faces who will bring audience to the screen.
Even today, you can't work with Rajkumar Rao, because at that time, he would have taken 20 lakhs. Today, he's taking 2-3 crores.
Yeah, more than that. So we are good friends. He will love my story, but he will say, look, I have 10 different projects I'm doing. So if you have to make these films on a shoestring budget, then you have to work with actors who don't drive that crazy fees. And of course, because they don't drive the crazy fees, they don't have that catchment of audience what we are looking for. So it's a catch-22 situation where you don't know what to do, whether to take a star and make the budget to 10, 12 crores, and then there's no surety if that star works. That's how it is. So one thing important for independent filmmakers like us is to have that space where we can get our time, shelf life of the film, for people to watch, talk about it, and then more and more audience come, because word of mouth is important for us. And that's where the screen space becomes very critical. If you compare from China and India in terms of population, we are same. In fact, we have crossed now. While China has more than 80,000 screens, India has 5,000, hardly 6,000 screens. And if you further divide into regional cinema and Hindi cinema, I don't think hardly 3,000, 4,000 screens are left. That means if you have one big release every week, you don't have space for small films. Nobody. And if you have space, they'll give you morning shows or very late night shows. Then nobody will come in. And if nobody comes in, nobody turns it on, they remove the film. So your film is gone. So it's that situation where I felt that these independent cinema, these films needs time. They need space to grow and flourish, which we expected the OTT would do it. And it really didn't turn that way, because they also took that same path of stardom and star value to create commercial cinema, because their objective was to create more subscription than the content.
Yeah.
There's a commercial sense out of it. And they may talk about content, but their objective is to get more subscription, more people to follow, and star has a value. So I felt there is a need where we can create a mechanism by which we take this screens to the people, the real audience, because the basic problems are the cost. When a family now goes to a theater, a family of 4 or 5, if they go to theater, it would cost them almost 3, 4, 5,000 rupees. Then the distance they have to travel and parking hassles, tickets and all. Then the suitability of the show timing, you don't know what time is suitable for. And the content, sometimes you want to watch film X, but there is film Y and you don't know how to do it. So you don't have the flexibility, you don't have power in your hand as an audience to choose the film, to choose the time you want to see, at the price you want to see, and with whom you want to see. So all these freedoms, I think audience doesn't have as far as cinema is concerned. And then the important part of feedback. The filmmakers don't have any connection with the audience in terms of feedback. So you don't improvise, you don't work on what's the real feedback, whether they like the film or not. They only have a one litmus test of box office. If the box office is good, the film is good, but you don't know why the box office is there. There may be 10 other reasons for that box office. So my idea is to, if we can create a system by which we crack the way by which we stream these films into smaller screens, which can be developed in 10, 15, 20 lakhs, and we create an audience where each audience becomes a member of that and can create their own shows. They can book their shows. They can create, let's say, for example, I want to watch Ankhon Dekhi even after 10 years. I create a show of Ankhon Dekhi, and there will be hundreds of others who will be watching that, who has created that show. And if they are interested, they can book a seat and we can create those shows, and we can create a library through which we can create your own shows and your own films and choose the timing, choose at a lower cost, almost 1/5 of the cost of what it happens. And same experience as that of theater. And in a way, it's very personalized for you, because we are talking about 20, 25 seaters, 30 seaters. And yet you save time for 1.5 hours film or 2 hours film. You don't have to waste 5 hours. So giving this and empowering the audience, the customers with these powers, I think we can create a world, create a base through which we can have a whole parallel set of audience, whole parallel set of market, which caters independent cinema and even the commercial cinema for that matter, and create a market through which independent cinema, including the regional cinema, can find their market, create audience, and also have a multiple feedback mechanism by which, if I've seen a film, I can give them a feedback that what did I like about the film and what did I not like the film. Or even you can have feedbacks on what actors you would like to see more, and all those things. That AI-based feedback would create the whole idea of making better films and better for the audience. And that's what I feel somebody should work upon. And I've been thinking about it for years, but I don't have the intention or propensity or at that fire to do this. But I would certainly like somebody to pick up this.
You like a team who could be a CEO of it.
Yeah, who can handle this. We are ready to fund, we are ready to work upon it. But I feel it's a need of the day by which we can increase, a screen size to 20, 30, 40,000 screens in India over a period of time very quickly, and create a robust independent market of viewers where producers like us can make films at lower cost and also sell the films or make the film available at a very low level of advertisement and promotion cost, which is huge chunk. So suppose you make a film for 3 crores and you have an ad budget of promotion budget of 4 crores, it's almost like 100% or more than 120% of the film cost. So it becomes very difficult in terms of ratio. So at a very low cost, if you can find a market and connect with the audience and get a feedback, I mean, it would be absolutely fantastic. As like what Uber or Ola has done in terms of taxi, I think this whole thing can do in terms of cinema viewing and creating an audience and value, massive value. We are not talking of advertisement revenues yet or launch revenues yet or funding your own content yet. And also, of course, a lot of houses, independent houses are being built. They also would like to have such theaters in their home where they can stream films of their choice. And the important thing is the shelf life of the film is for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years, you're there. and people can watch it. So it's something which should be looked upon, and I'm very interested to find a team who can work upon it. The thing which has evolved over the period of time and I've evolved last 8-10 years more, is that I'm not available for any sort of examination, any sort of judgment, any sort of medallion, any sort of ranking to anyone. I'm what I am. I'm answerable to one energy who has always guided me, put me at right places. You know, most of the time you are at right places at right time. That's what happens. It's not that we have extra gray matter. It's the same. But what changes is that you are at the right time, right opportunity, and that you become successful. And when you become successful, confidence comes in. Rest all is same. It's same 20 years back and now. So once the confidence comes in, and when you see through the life, you realize a lot of things and you change, you evolve, and you realize the realities of life. So when you stop from this whole idea of presenting myself that people should be impressed, or that whole idea of that if I do this, they will think like this. If I do that, they will think like this, relieves you from a lot of stress. And a person like me was gone through a lot of inferiority complex throughout his life. I remember up till 30, 35, 36. I've struggled a lot in terms of inferiority complex. One, from the background which I used to come, the struggles we did, the way I look, the color of the skin, my pedigree from the village background, what we come from, and all those things. Those all, like, jab hum chote the, to, are Kalu, are Chotu, are Motu, you know, those get inside your head and they push you towards that inferiority complex where you feel, am I good enough? Am I that enough? So it takes a lot of time to come out of that shell. And it did. When you come out of it, you breathe. And that's why I talk to my kids also. And I always talk about inferiority complex. I talk about, don't try to prove your point to the society. Prove to yourself. You are answerable to yourself and all those things. So when you come out of that inferiority complex, and when you stop being a part of that rat race or medallion race where you want to say that I'm the best or I did well, it relieves you. It makes you easy. Life is less stressed and you calm down.
At which point this transformation happened in you?
It took me a while. One of the biggest problem with me was my inferiority complex. And I would have those anxious moments if I have to go and present myself somewhere. I have to talk about something, even if I have done it all or achieved it all, but it would be very difficult for me to come out of the shell and talk. But it was around 10, 12 years ahead, I'm talking about, when I decided to make films and all. That was a point of break where I broke my shell and came out that, okay, it's time for me to tick box my dreams. It's the moment, I think 10 to 12 years back, when I started getting out of it. I started realizing that I'm good enough. I started realizing that I'm answerable to me and only me. The kid in me, which was 13, 14 years old, who had a lot of dreams and no money and used to cry in the night, I'm answerable to him. And I'm going to answerable to be me at the age of 75 or 80 when I'm on my deathbed. That I did well. None else matters. So all this evolution happened. It's still continuing. I'm not saying that I've evolved. I'm growing every day. But that has relieved me a lot in terms of my anxiety, in terms of my stress, in terms of putting myself every time in that competitive arc or in that race that I need to do better because I need to prove, I need to do more to show that I'm good. I pulled out of it, and it started almost 10, 12 years back, and slowly, steadily, I reached to a point where I don't care. I don't care what people think about me. I don't care what people will say about me. What I know is I'm a good soul. I won't break laws. I won't hurt anybody intentionally. Unintentionally, you don't know what happens. Unconsciously, whatever happens. But I'm ready to apologize immediately if I've done wrong. And I won't do intentionally harm to anybody in any matter whatsoever. And that I learned to say no is very important, which thing I learned in my life. That has pulled me out of that whole shell and made me a person who doesn't have any problem with anybody, because I don't have any problem with anybody anymore. If somebody is earning 10 times more than me, wish him all the luck. If somebody is looking better than me, all the best to him. If somebody is more confident than me, all the best to him. I am good enough, and that I'm happy And I always thank God in full gratitude. Whatever journey I've taken is mesmerizing. From selling cold drinks on footpath, having no money to pay the fees, to now paying fees for hundreds of school children. The journey what I had and I'm having is fantastic. It was great. And that makes me very happy from inside, not to prove anything, but to be very happy from inside that God was so kind to make me go through this whole process. Even taking me through that inferiority complex and then bringing me out is also a sense of so much of contentment and relief. Because if you don't know what poverty is, you will not enjoy the richness. If you don't know what hate is, you won't enjoy or give love. So when you go through that whole process, you always think that it was a great journey which God made me do that. And I'm very happy about this whole thing of realization and taking care of myself, my mental health, and telling myself that it's good, you've done well, and it's okay what you have gone through. This is very important. I want to talk to all the audiences that it's very important to find space to pat yourself, because we do good from wherever we come from, because each one has his own story of struggle. It's not that I have struggled or you have struggled or none others are struggling. Everybody struggles. Everybody has a story. And wherever you are standing today, you've done well, irrespective of the hurdles or bottlenecks or problems you faced. And let's take time out of this whole thing and pat ourselves. Thank God of the gratitude that, okay, whatever we have achieved, we have done well. And we should all do that. And we should pull ourselves from that whole rat race of proving that I am the smartest. The moment we realize that we are not the smartest, we are just the luckiest, or to be at the right time, the right opportune time, at the right place, I think we'll have a better life in terms of everything.
And you started being spiritual at the same time you started making films?
Yeah, I mean, that was a point of breakthrough. I was not spiritual then, but I'm more evolved and more spiritual now. But I remember the point when you asked me a question, what do you think was exactly? That was a point where I felt that I've done well in terms of my responsibility as a son, responsibility as a father, responsibility as a friend, family member, everybody. I have done it well with the help of God, of course. And that now it's time to evolve in terms of fulfilling my own personal dreams. So that point in time, I think, was my breakthrough time where I felt that it's time for me to come out of the shell.
What is the purpose that is driving Manish at the age of 49 now?
It's a journey which I am taking, as we talked on the sidelines of this, that my purpose now is to understand who am I, what I am for. So far, so good. But what next? Like in terms of my journey as a person, Manish as a person. When you see Manish as a CEO, you have had a journey, you built billions of dollars company and you created this. But Manish as a person, as an individual, what am I for now, for next 10, 15, 20, 25 years, whichever are left for me? And that's what right now I'm studying myself. I'm very spiritual in the point that I meditate a lot. I think about it while doing all. It's not that I've left my job or left my passion. All those are there along with me. But taking myself away from that whole thing and observe myself, what was the journey. So one thing which drives me as of now is that I need to rigorously follow my passion in terms of creativity. Maybe it's making film, writing films, painting, photography, talking to young minds and meeting more and more people. These are my passionate things which I need to do. And one way or other, I need to be somewhere in terms of giving back to society, whichever way it is. And we found our ways how to do it. These are the two important purposes which are there. In terms of finance, in terms of returns, in terms of objectivity, career-wise, I think I've done it all, seen it all. And then there is no end to it. Like you can make $1 million or $10 million or $1 billion or 10 billion. If you go through that rat race, there's never enough. So, but for me, I think I've done it all in terms of financial goals, in terms of commercial and in terms of professional goals. I've done it all. Now it's in terms of me, Manish, as a human being on this earth. Have I served my purpose for what God did create me or why I have come to this earth? I'm working on that.
So it's a daily process of questioning yourself and looking at man in the mirror.
Yeah.
Are you doing enough?
Yeah, that's the answer. But I don't think I've got my answers yet. One important thing which I always talk to people and say is that you get what you deserve in terms of whatever it is. You work hard, you deserve, you get the reward. But that doesn't mean that what you got as a reward is for you. You may need a limited part of it, actually. So what you deserve and what you got is something else. What you need is maybe a portion of it. So suppose if you got 100 rupees and you may need actually 10 rupees. So there's a 90 which is there. That 90 probably God has made you the conduit, okay, to get that 90 rupees to someone who is more needy, someone who wants to grow, someone with whom you can work. And if that's one of the purpose why God will give you more than what you require. Because God gives us dream to deserve more, work hard more, and then you get it. And when you get it, there must be a purpose. The purpose is not to have that bank balance and die. I don't think that's the purpose. That if you have $1 million, $10 million, $100 million in your bank, and you die at the age of 70, after all those appreciations and medals and all, I don't think that's the purpose why God would give you that resources. So you need to give back to society. You need to create 10 more such individuals who can follow your path and give back to society and fulfill your purpose. So God has a reason why it gives more than what you need as resources. It's God who feeds that dreams into you. It's not that everybody dreams. It's not that everybody visualizes that you create fund after 6 months of engineering, or you do your first entrepreneurship and sell your company and then create funds and work on funds. It's a dream what seeds into you, and then you grow, and then you grow bigger, and then you grow more. But then the need doesn't expand as much as, because we all come from that society where we don't need Rolls Royce, or we don't need 7-storied bungalows, or we don't need to have chartered flights or jets. There is a purpose why you get those extra resources. And if you can create 10 Siddharths or 10 Nancys, with your resources, help people to fulfill their dream, I think you find some purpose.
Thank you so much, Manish. This conversation is so enriching that I can continue it for long.
Thanks for this thing. It's always good to talk to right soul. You don't come out and talk to anybody like this. It's always the aura, the energy, which makes you talk from heart. Thank you, Siddharth, for this opportunity. I appreciate this, and I thoroughly loved the whole process.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.